Hi, this is Connie. Welcome to RedHorse. I'd like to talk about dockable windows in RedHorse. First, what is a dockable window? Dockable means that the window can either be floating in the application or it can be attached to any edge of the main RedHorse window. There are two windows in RedHorse that are dockable. Those are the alarm panel, that's this one, and the social media panel, that's this one. You can see that they're floating in the screen. This is actually what these two panels look like the first time they open. They're floating and they're small. I can move them around by clicking and holding the title bar of the window, like this. I can also resize them by clicking and dragging on a corner or a side and dragging to make it bigger. I can drag it where I'd like to have it during the day, and then I can move it anytime it's in the way. When I close and reopen RedHorse, it will be where I left it last. That's floating. Now let's talk about docking. I can dock the alarms window by clicking the window title bar, that's the bar across the top, and dragging the panel to the edge of the main RedHorse window. Notice that when I bring my mouse to the very edge, I start to see a shadow preview where the alarm window changes, and it will show me where the panel will dock. When I let go of the left mouse button, the window attaches itself and fills the shadow area. I can change the size of the window once it's docked. This is a slider, and you can see when my mouse changes to the slider cursor, I can click and hold and drag and make the window wider or smaller. When I have the window here, I can also pin it or unpin it. Right now we can see that it's pinned. That means it will always be open where I have it. Anytime I need it, I can see it. But if I like, I can unpin it and that auto hides it. After a few seconds, the window will disappear. If I want to show the window again, we can see a little tab that says alarms on the right side here. I can bring the mouse to the tab and it will open, and I take my mouse away and the alarm window disappears again. I can dock the alarms on any edge of RedHorse. I can dock it to the right. I can dock it to the bottom. Notice how the preview shadow changes when I reach the edge to show me where it will dock. I can dock it to the left, or I can dock it to the top. I like to have the alarms, when I'm running RedHorse, dock to the right edge, so I'm going to leave it there. The alarms window has its own dockable component. That's the preview area in the alarms. Notice that we have a list of the alarms in a grid here. And then we have a preview pane. In this case, it's above it. Any activity that I click on, we can see that the preview shows us more information about the activity that we have selected. You can see the preview pane here has a bar on the left, and I can click and drag that and dock it to a different area of inside of the alarms panel. I can drag it to the right and dock it to the right here, and then I can see my grid with my activities and my preview side by side. I can change the size with the slider. You could dock it just like in RedHorse, top, bottom, left, or right. I like to have mine docked at the top. And then I can make the notes a little bit smaller here so I can see more of my activities. This is how I like to run my RedHorse. Now we have the social media panel to dock. We can choose a different edge of RedHorse. We can dock it to the bottom. We can dock it to the left. We can dock it to the same edge as the alarms if we'd want to. Notice when I come to the right side again, we can see the preview. And now when I let go, I now have both the alarms and the social media docked to the same side next to each other. And I can use my sliders here again to make these wider so I can see both windows at the same time. If that takes up more real estate than you'd like, there are two more ways that you can dock these two windows together. The first way is to dock them on top of each other and make them tabs. To do that, I'm going to take the alarms window and I'm going to put it right on top of the other window. Notice that my preview shadow has a little notch at the bottom. And that's our tab. When I let go, we can see that we have two windows overlapping with tabs. And I can switch back and forth by clicking on the social media to bring that up, or on the alarms to go back to alarms. That way I can flip back and forth anytime I need to see one or the other. When I use the pin, when I have tabs, they pin separately, so you can choose which one you'd like to pin. Once two windows are docked together in tabs, you can drag them together and move the whole tab panel, let's say to the other side of RedHorse, and both windows move together. If I want to separate them once they're in tabs, I can drag the tab out, and then that becomes a separate window. The other way I can dock these windows together is to have them stacking one above the other. I like to have my alarms on top and I put my social panel at the bottom. So let's show you how you do that. I'm going to drag the social media panel down to the bottom of the alarms panel until I see the shadow become a box below alarms. When I let go, now I see two panels. I have alarms at the top, I have social media at the bottom. That way I can have them both visible and available to me all of the time, but they take up less room on my screen. Anytime you want to close either one of these windows so that they're completely out of the way, you can do that by clicking the X at the top right of the panel. So if I close social media, we can see it disappear. We can also see that it's now turned off. There's no check next to it in our Tools menu. I could bring it back by clicking here, and now that brings the social window back. You can see that it brought it back to the same location where I had it docked before. RedHorse remembers that for you, where you left it last. When I close alarms, we can see that they've disappeared, but in the tool menu, this works differently than social media. You can see the check is still here. The next time that the system polls for alarms, which it just did, we can see it popped back here all by itself. That's so that you can close the alarms to make space if you need it, but they will come back if you have another alarm that the system needs to let you know about so that you don't miss anything. Thank you for watching. You can see you have a lot of choices here of how to organize your screen. Go check it out in your RedHorse.